What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time for OnComicsGrounds.com's flagship podcast, Panel to Panel, where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. We are back once again, where we're talking about all of our good comic book news and comic book topics, because sometimes we like to just talk about the comic books that we love and all that good stuff here on Panel to Panel. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, Audible, and Amazon Music. Both of those apps are able to listen to podcasts now, which is awesome as hell. And basically, anywhere you want to listen to a podcast, it does not matter. We are there except for SoundCloud, because no one likes SoundCloud. And we will always be here. We are kicking off our 50th episode in the next week or so, but this is our 49th episode, and we are so glad that over the past 2 years we've been making some amazing content off and on due to scheduling and the virus, but we are here, and we are going to be starting 2021 with a bang, having several episodes throughout the weeks and doing some amazing content because of things like DC Future State and whatnot, different collabs we'll be having going on. But enough of that fun stuff. My name is James Portis. To my left, we have the man with the afro that is potentially going to war with Mary this evening, which is going to be hilarious to watch. We have Mr. Travis Tucker. How you doing today?
Pretty good. Been going to war on Destiny all fucking day.
Same.
So I'm ready.
Jesus Christ. It's not like she's an Amankara or something. That's just rude. Anyway, to my right, we have the woman who has been hyped for this movie for months and months and months, throughout the delays, throughout the merchandise in the Kroger. She has been ready for this movie to drop. We have Mary. How you doing this evening?
Travis, Destiny has not prepared you for this. I'm kidding. No, I'm fine.
That's what's up, folks. Don't forget you can follow this podcast on Twitter at PTB_podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at OnComicsGround with the website. And you can check out on-comics-ground.com, where all of our amazing reviews, previews, and solicitations are posted every week for you good people. Starting in 2021, we will be doing a bit of a refresh and getting things looking prettier for you good folks. But for now, we are going to dive into the discussion this evening, because as we hinted at in last week's episode, we are going to be reviewing DC, Warner Brothers, and AT&T's Wonder Woman AD 1984. I Cannot Talk this evening, directed by Patty Jenkins, starring Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Pedro Pascal, and Kristen Wiig. This movie was very satisfying for me. Like, I made it very clear before we started recording that this movie was not the greatest thing ever. It wasn't like the worst thing ever. It was like it was very enjoyable. Like the comparison I said was, I felt like I went to Applebee's and had myself a very nice meal. I didn't overstuff myself. Like, it wasn't like I went to Red Lobster and had too many cheddar biscuits. Like, I had a nice meal. It was very nice. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this in our discussions and whatnot. Travis, what are your overall feelings of the movie before we get into the nitty-gritty of things?
Honestly, I think, in my honest opinion, it was a great cast with a bad script. That's kind of where I sit with that. And it not mainly because of Maxwell Lord and his way he was used and how pivotal he was in literally every fucking part of this movie. Oh, God. Maybe it's my comic fanboy coming out of me, because I kind of want him to get his neck snapped after Wonder Woman gets punched to the sun. But I think Maxwell Lord was probably my biggest issue with this movie.
Okay, we'll dig into that in a few minutes. But, Mary, what were your overall thoughts of the movie?
I mean, it's a solid movie. I'm not going to say, it's a 10 out of 10 A+. I gave it a 9 out of 10 in the review, but that's for a lot of personal reasons, because I don't know if you boys knew this, but I really like Wonder Woman.
Oh, really? No, I had
no
I
way.
had no idea.
And unfortunately, fortunately for me, unfortunately for everyone in my immediate vicinity, I have read a lot of Wonder Woman. So there's a lot of elements that Patty leaned into that I really liked. But if we're talking at the overall movie, it was fine. It was good. It was never going to be as good as the first one. Like Travis, I do think the use of Maxwell Lord was a little weird, particularly in his 80s introduction, because when he was introduced in the comics in the 80s, and when he was, in the 80s Justice League comics, he was just a skeevy businessman.
Mm-hmm.
But when his post Infinite Crisis iteration is so famous for one thing, the only thing most people know about Maxwell Lord prior to this was that he got his neck snapped.
Yes.
And that, there was everything with Checkmate and all that stuff. So I think going back to the 1980s, where he was just a skeevy business guy who worked with the Justice League from time to time, I think that was a little weird.
And see, I love how you bring that up, because a few episodes ago, when I brought that up and my confusion of Maxwell Lord being the main antagonist of this movie, y'all gave me side eye. Y'all and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Now I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Like,
we could have received and lost Ted Kord in this movie, but we didn't.
Yeah, no, like it just. Go ahead, Barry.
I was hoping he'd get his neck snapped, and I don't like that the movie set it up.
Yeah, they did. They really
big
did.
time.
When he's standing in that thing, he's like, "Nothing can stop me." Blah ha ha. And Wonder Woman's like,
"No, I gotta run your leg, not your neck, motherfucker." I'm like, "Bah."
And I think if you took out Maxwell Lord, if you left everything about the movie left everything out of the movie the same, and you replaced Maxwell Lord with Veronica Cale, the movie would have made a gajillion% more sense. And I even mentioned that in my review.
Mm-hmm.
Because Veronica Cale is basically Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
She is an evil genius with a bunch of money, and she canonically has a daughter. Maxwell Lord, especially in his post-Infinite Crisis, I mean, he doesn't. Tamaki gave him a kid who's like a teenager, but I'm not counting that because what?
When did that happen?
Because what?
I mean, that edition is less than a year old.
Oof.
But
and like, did she bring Lord back in Wonder Woman?
Yes.
What the fuck? Okay. Probably
yeah, he's in like Super Justice League jail or some shit like that.
Yeah, because when Justice League versus Suicide Squad came out right when the Suicide Squad movie came out, they put him in that as the main antagonist, and actually awesome. And what was funny about that reintroduction of him was he was obsessed with a jewel in that book too, which I thought was such a hell of a callback of like, oh, he's obsessed with this crazy crystal thing here, but in the book he was obsessed with the Eclipso crystal. So it's like, how much of a twist would that have been if this motherfucker pulls up and is Eclipso? I done lost my mind. But obviously, folks, we are diving into spoiler territory. Obviously, we will have it in the title. This is a Spoilercast episode. This is a discussion of the entire movie. Like, we apologize for those overseas who are not able to see the movie. We apologize to those who are not able to afford HBO Max, but the movie is readily available to people in the US. So we like similar to other releases like the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, similar to other DC Warner Brothers releases, we feel it deemable worthy to discuss this. So if you need to skip this episode, we understand. We hope you will still enjoy other episodes we have on our platforms and whatnot, but this will be something we discuss heavily. So thank you for staying with us, if you say, but we are going to dive in full spoiler territory as we already have started to joke about. So, first off, now that I want to talk about the opening scene, the opening 5-minute scene back on Themyscira. I really enjoyed it to a point because and I forget who said it. There was a YouTuber I was watching earlier that said it feels sort of tacked on, as if they had Robin Wright and the rest of the Amazons on contract, so they were like, screw it, let's film this. But at the same time, I enjoy it for what it is, and it loosely ties into the rest of the plot, and obviously with Wonder Woman having Themyscira in the background is a good thing, but I really enjoyed this for what it was. And I don't know if y'all have any opinion on the opening scene, but It was very enjoyable. I think they should have chose a bit of an older actress for Diana. Because, like, her tiny ass compared to all these women, and she's kicking all of their asses. I was like, wait, what? But entirely, like, it was very, like, Silver Agey comical how she, like, slid down the hill and hopped on the horse. I really enjoyed that. I don't know, like, if either of y'all have any opinions on the opening scene.
I liked how it kind of set the theme for the rest of the movie. And ultimately how the movie ended.
Mm-hmm.
Though I agree that the whole, like, small 8-year-old child beating grown-ass women in sports was fucking weird to me.
Like, she was shooting them arrow shots, and it was like, oh, Diana! Like you can even tell on, like, Robin Wright and Hippolyta's faces, they're like, oh, cool! It was very shocking, and I enjoyed that. Mary, you are the residential Wonder Woman expert. How did you feel about this scene?
I mean, ironically, I think the interview either came out earlier today or yesterday that Patty Jenkins said that Warner Brothers specifically wanted that scene cut.
Oh.
And Patty Jenkins told them to go to hell.
Oh.
Because she has enough, because there was the Themyscira scene, and then there was another scene that they wanted cut. I don't remember what the second scene was off the top of my head, but they wanted both of them cut from the film, and Patty Jenkins said not no, but hell no, and they went, yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I think Themyscira was a very popular part of the first movie because, you know, it's Themyscira. It's the mythical, and even in reality, it's the mythical home to the Amazon. So it has a pretty lengthy history, and people are fascinated in it, and, you know, who doesn't want to see an island full of gorgeous women? But there was a lot of call even after the first movie to reference Themyscira again, specifically because it was we saw it in Justice League as well.
Yeah.
Be that what it was. I think Connie Nielsen has talked about that there's still a Themyscira scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So hopefully we'll see that expanded on a little more because it was just very Whedonified.
Honestly, I don't know if it was, because if you look at how the shot in the trailer of, like, Steppenwolf like getting to Themyscira, it's the same, like, big Coliseum central scene. So I don't know how much Whedonified that was.
He cut scenes from it because do you vaguely remember in Justice League where Diana's fucking with the statue and they're like, oh my god, this ancient Greek temple got burned and shit?
Yeah.
It was Hippolyta that fired the arrow.
Oh.
And one of the cut scenes was Wonder Woman going to check it out and kind of being like, oh shit, apparently my mother's still alive.
Oh.
And so there's some expositional scenes involving Themyscira that got cut. But Robin Wright was a very popular figure in the first movie, and it was more of a people will be mad if we don't include this kind of a thing. And the little girl, Lily Astwell, I think her name is, she's the same little girl from the first movie. So I think it's cute that they brought her back because apparently she and Gal just absolutely adore each other. It was just very cute.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
In terms of, the child beating the grown-ass Amazons, she is, and this genuinely pains me to say it, a daughter of Zeus.
Yeah.
Oh god, that hurt so much to say.
I know. I understand your pain.
Fun fact, do you remember the starting lineup in the movie where baby Diana's, getting all ready and she looks over to the blonde woman on her left and the blonde lady's like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Victoria and I pieced it together. That blonde woman is actually Melissa Benoist's stunt double on Supergirl.
Oh.
So I think it's fun that she kind of got to expand out into other DC properties.
Sweet.
And Victoria did no. I think I made the joke to Victoria that they were letting Diana win because you don't want to beat the princess.
That's probably why the two girls at the end, when they threw the javelins, they're like, yeah, like Robin Wright grabbed her at the end, and it felt kind of like, damn, you just robbed this girl of everything. Because for me, that scene, it didn't feel like she cheated. It felt like she was trying to find a way to still stay in the race. That's why when Robin Wright's like, yo, you cheated, I'm like, wait, wouldn't that show like initiative not to just give up more than cheated? Like, the horse kind of said, screw you, because you got knocked off the thing by a bush. Like, it bothered me that they just said, like, no, you cheated.
I think
it did feel that way. Like, they were just like, oh, yeah, she's going to win. And then she gets taken out and like, what the fuck? You cheated. Where? Where did she cheat?
I think, and you know, kind of looping back to what Travis said, I think it served very well as a framing device for the narrative of the film and the overall tone. But I think what she essentially meant by that is that, look, there are no half measures. You know, here are the rules that were established. You did not do that, therefore you lost. You cheated. I'm using air quotes here. And I think that ties in very heavily to Steve. That, you know, there are no half measures there. It's one of those decisions where you have to make a black or white choice.
Fair enough. All right.
Ain't no half stepping.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was fun for Robin Wright to come back. But Diana also quotes, you know, that speech in entirety later in the film.
Yeah. From there, we move on to what I can only quantify as, like, the Richard Donner Wonder Woman cut of the movie, where...
unnecessary. Hey, guys, this is the 80s establishing shot.
Well, no, not even that. More like yes, the 80s reference, but also, like, it felt so much like Richard Donner's Superman with how, like, the Silver Age camp of throwing the girl over into the teddy bears and, like, wrangling up all the bad guys and moving super fast. Like, it felt like that classic superhero type of thing, and I really enjoyed that. But just the whole, like, more present opening shot where Diana's kicking the butts of all the robbers and whatnot, and that was really cool. And I love how and I hate to make this reference, but I love how like the one dude in the robber team pulled the Michael Jackson and just hung the girl over the balcony. Like, it was so comical.
Damn,
like,
he called it pulling a Michael Jackson.
Right, like, I feel bad, but it's like, he does that, and it's so weird, because even his dudes are like, bro, what are you doing? This is too much. And it's like, I don't want to go back to jail, and then he drops the old girl, and Diana just goes, whoop, and it felt so, like, campy goodness action, and I loved every second of that entire scene. And then she throws the tiara, and that felt good, and it just, everything about this was just so good. Like it got me into the movie more than the Themyscira thing did, if that makes sense.
I like that the scene basically establishes that Diana is Bigfoot.
Yeah?
If we look at the canon, she doesn't reveal, you know, quote unquote, reveal herself to the public as, you know, quote unquote, Wonder Woman until after Justice League.
Yeah.
Where, you know, because the big theme in Justice League is that, you know, heroes need a visible presence. Because at that point, all they've really had is Batman, Superman, and maybe Flash doing some shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
So she reveals herself publicly to the world at that point. And so, like, I do like that, you know, she's like, there are sightings and you see her, and, you know, people have seen her, but you don't know who she is, and blah. So I think that's funny that it's funny that it basically just establishes that she's Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the mall. I'm going to point out every comic book scene.
Do it.
So I apologize. It's a really fun adaptation of a goddamn Rebirth scene, if you'll believe it.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's as recent as Rebirth, because in Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott's Wonder Woman Year One Rebirth origin, she has a big fight at the mall, even down to rescuing the children. So it's not a, oh, look at a coincidence. This was a direct adaptation.
Wow.
Huh.
So, and honestly, the scene is actually even referenced in Justice League as well. But so there are a lot of comic book moments that Patty Jenkins just took a bunch of comic books and just dumped them into the script, and I'm like, yay.
Yeah, like that's what makes it fun is that like the one thing I can say about this movie and the previous Wonder Woman is that Patty Jenkins cares. Like that's what has me excited to see her do a Star Wars movie now is that she cares about what she's doing.
And I think that's something we don't see in all comic book movie directors is that, is it adapting the source material or is it doing what you want and vaguely linking it to the source material? And there are individual directors that you can tell genuinely want to engage with the source material. Yeah. Others, not so much. And then, unfortunately, and I am desperately trying to not point fingers here, but Marvel's really bad about that because they know that the comics will adapt to movie canons just because, consolidation of narratives hopefully might boost sales, except JK it doesn't. And DC has just a larger history to lean into.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to ramble at this point, so we should.
I love discussing this kind of thing, and that's what I love about doing this show is that people learn more about comic history by listening to the show sometimes, and I love that. So dig in, enjoy your ranting. But Travis, did you enjoy the mall scene?
I thought it was more symbolic than anything. I didn't really take it seriously. I kind of took it in the same way that I took the opening scene in Justice League, where it was this is Wonder Woman. She's going to save everyone, especially the little girls and the little girl in you type of thing. That's kind of how I watched it. Because if you notice, all the robbers are really greasy, shitty-looking dudes.
I pointed out in my review, I'm sorry to interrupt, Travis, that... Go ahead. And I don't know, I don't think this was intentional. The movie doesn't have an anti-man narrative, but I pointed this out in my review, which you can find on the website, by the way. That almost every other man in this movie that has a direct impact on the plot is a fucking scumbag.
A huge scumbag, not a regular scumbag.
Like they're scum.
A huge scumbag.
And I don't get it because I noticed that, and once you notice it about the movie, you don't unnotice it. And the movie clearly does not have an anti-man narrative because it would have been a hell of a lot more direct about it. But there's Steve Trevor and then the nice homeless guy that Barbara knows.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, and other, guys with... And I mean, there are side characters, background characters that seem nice, but every other grown man in this movie is just kind of a dirtbag.
Hey, Emerson was cool, damn it.
There's a lot of harassment in this movie.
It's the 80s.
So
the 80s, to be fair, the 80s was a complete garbage time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It was a male-dominated world in the 80s, and I think they were just trying to shed some light on that, to be completely honest with you.
And I think Patty may have been overcompensating to the feminist critiques of the first film. That
possible.
The first film, and this inherently isn't a bad thing. I don't read it as a bad thing, but I know a lot of people did, that there was a very heavy focus on men in the first Wonder Woman movie. And that was a specific thematic choice because Diana had to decide whether or not man's world was worth it. And she ultimately decided that, because the Themysciran propaganda about men is pretty, hey, they're kind of all terrible. And if you look at the Amazons in isolation, that does make sense. They were, enslaved by Hercules and shit. Or Heracles, excuse me. So, and George Perez did some stuff that the Amazons were reincarnated women who had been brutally killed by men.
Damn.
So there's kind of just, it's not anti-man, it's anti the guys that are douchebags.
The anti-shitty men.
Exactly. And, it's more about bringing light to issues like, harassment, assault, things like that. And that was a heavy narrative for the 80s to have.
Yeah.
but a lot of women were a little frustrated that, you know, the first Wonder Woman movie, she's the world's biggest lady superhero, all this stuff, focused on the dudes that she was hanging out with. It's a thematic choice that worked in the film, but a lot of people were a little, you know, oh, okay about it. So I'm wondering if it was partial overcompensation. She's like, okay, wait a minute, you know, and she was very blunt about the first film. She's like, look, I didn't set out to make a quote unquote feminist movie. I set out to make a movie that people would enjoy. And most people are like, yeah, and it worked, but you know, not unfortunately for me, obviously, because, you know, lady, there is a certain degree of feminism that you have to bring into Wonder Woman, and I'm not talking pop culture feminism, just a lot of like genuine, you know, dialogue that has to come in with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And this wasn't poorly done. It was actually just kind of funny. Because again, it's not obvious, but when you notice it, you're like, wait, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that she at least brought that in without making every guy in the universe seem like a douchebag, which, you know, there's typically, you know, it's one or the other. So she found a nebulous area.
I am waiting for like the first like shitty gatekeeper dude who's like, oh, this movie endorses the abuse of men because of the scene where like Cheetah's just beating the shit out of the dude. Like, I'm waiting for that to be a thing.
He was a sexual predator.
Yes.
I have already seen it.
No, you're lying. Oh my god.
Oh no.
I'm not.
That fucks me up because like that part to me, and men are trash. I will say that on this podcast. I am them. I'm the straight here. Let me tell y'all first. Straight men are fucking trash. So Kristen Wiig's moment in that scene was she was no longer the damsel in distress that needed to be rescued. She now had the tools that she needed to survive on her own. Yeah, maybe she was a little brutal, but that's kind of the way the world forced her to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like if it was the first encounter and she had that ability, I'm sure it would have been just a shove and a walk away. But he'd already tried this before, and now she's feeling powerful after being powerless. So what do the powerless do when they get power? They flex a bit. Yeah. You know?
And, like, it definitely felt deserved. Like, especially when he, like, goes, yeah, I remember you. Let's go for round 2. And I'm like, nah, man.
Yeah, like, where were we?
It's yeah, like, no, like, you need to get your ass, like, handed to you, dog. And then, like, I felt bad for the homeless dude who pulls up after the fight. And he's like, yo, Barbara, what'd you do? And she's just like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, man. Like, you
mind your business.
Like, you know, she said to mind your business. And, like, it felt kind of like I don't want to read too much into this because, like, I know that's not what Patty meant by it, but, like, it kind of radiated that, like, black folks need to mind their business from a white person's perspective, and I didn't want to look at it that way, but just the tone in Kristen Wiig's voice had me like, I don't like that, but it's the 80s, I'll let it go. But moving on. Oh, go ahead, Mary, go ahead.
I think from Patty Jenkins' perspective, that's probably just a coincidence. She doesn't really do deep meta commentary in terms of politics. She didn't even do it in Monster. Oh, okay. She's very direct. Don't watch Monster.
Okay.
It is a very good movie, but it is a very brutal movie. I have seen it once, never again.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's about a serial killer who was violently assaulted. Eileen Wuornos is a real world serial killer, violently assaulted.
Oh.
And we see that, and Patty really went all in with that one.
All right.
Anyway, rambling.
No, you're fine. Good advice. I didn't know it existed. So I want to talk about, before we get into like the streamlined plot itself, like any further, I want to talk about Maxwell Lord, because we already hinted at the conversation, but Maxwell Lord is a very interesting case where, for a quick history lesson for those who don't really know much about him, in the comics, before the Crisis on Infinite Earths sort of fixed him, He was canonized as just an up-and-coming businessman who wanted to do some businessman-type things. He was kidnapped by aliens. He was given superpowers by those aliens. What?
Invasion.
Huh? Oh, you cut out.
Invasion. The Dominator.
Yeah, the Dominator's Invasions, for if you need a reference to the CW. He was kidnapped. He was given superpowers. And for a long time, he used his money, his wealth, and his influence to basically become the benefactor of the Justice League International. And the reason why, even before, on a previous episode, where I was, like, confused as to why Maxwell Lord was the villain, was because up until Infinite Crisis, where you have the iconic neck snap that Wonder Woman does him a service, you never really saw these two characters in the same room. Even when he was technically a member of the JLI, she was nowhere to be seen, because it was the B team. It was Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, Fire, Ice, Booster Gold, and Guy Gardner with his dumbass. Like, it was that group. So, for them to use him because of the influence that he had on her future, it's very strange, but I like, and I know Travis has his opinions on it, and we'll get to that in a second, but I find myself okay with what they did. Like, they sort of mandarined him, if that makes sense, if we're making an Iron Man 3 reference, where his real name isn't Lord. So if randomly in a few years down the line, when we get another Justice League movie or what have you, where they want to reuse Maxwell Lord, they can. I don't think they will, but they have the option to, or if the TV shows want to use them, he can. But I said them and he, but that didn't make any sense. But like, in general, I think what they did with Maxwell Lord was very interesting, and I didn't expect them to twist his power into a wishing system rather than a command system. So that was kind of cool. So
he's not going to pop up on TV anytime soon, unless Supergirl does a thing, because and this has been a while since season 1 of Supergirl when it was on CBS, but he was actually the primary antagonist.
Oh.
In the very first season of Supergirl. He was actually played by Peter Fancianelli.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, Peter Fancianelli did a good job, but that was more evil business, you know. He was still a businessman, but more in line with the post-Infinite Crisis evilness.
Okay.
I feel like I keep switching Infinite and Final Crisis, so if I feel like I keep...
No. Infinite Crisis is the one that's actually good.
But I'm talking after the event, before he gets his neck snapped. It's in Countdown.
So it's Infinite Crisis, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I am tired. So if I keep like going all over the place with those crisis events, I'm tired, and in my defense, there is a lot of them.
There is a lot of crises. Crises. Yes.
There's even an identity crisis.
Yes. Like, Dark Knight's Metal was going to be Dark Crisis until they were told no. But in general, I like what they do with Maxwell Lord. Travis, I know you have your thoughts on Maxwell Lord. I don't know if you want to speak on that before we continue with the final movie.
Say again, Cece was showing me her wonderful work.
Do you want to express your opinions about Maxwell Lord?
My problem with Maxwell Lord is that he was like reverse Batman for me. You know what I mean?
Huh.
With like everything he did with Checkmate, shooting Ted Kord in the face, you know, everything that led up to him getting killed being necessary is kind of what made him such a great character for me. So seeing him back in his like proto stage, and not to mention Pedro Pascal is a wonderful actor. I love him. I found it some weird irony that Wonder Woman kind of embodied 2 of my favorite roles of his in this movie. One of them being fucking Agent Whiskey in Kingsman 2 with the lasso fighting. Not with the switch, kid. And then the other one being her tanking so many damn gunshots like he does in The Mandalorian. But all in all, he's a damn good actor. So he was able to take what little bit of Maxwell Lord there is in that era and turn him into something that you can understand and watch develop. But on that same hand, with him just being the skeevy businessman, his wants were simply greed based alone. And with him being able to manipulate people with wishes, I was like, okay, maybe they could have used someone else entirely. Because Maxwell Lord, to me, is the, checkmate shooting Blue Beetle kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hell, Max.
So I don't know. Seeing him as the how do I put this? The coked out Wolf of Wall Street with magic. Like,
yeah, even with the nosebleeds. I see what you did there.
Yeah, even with the nosebleeds. Like, that's kind of how I viewed him, and I was like, oh man, it's a really compelling villain, but the fact that he was Maxwell Lord is what disconnected me from that being compelled.
Mary,
Again,
your thoughts?
Just to kind of tack on what Travis said, I don't remember if I said it early in the broadcast or before we started recording. Maxwell Lord's whole plot would have made a bazillion% more sense if it had been Veronica Cale.
Yeah, he does that. Like, because it makes sense. It totally makes sense.
And I mean, and particularly since Veronica Cale canonically has a child, that we have already seen Veronica Cale multiple times do anything to protect her kid, even if it means working with Wonder Woman, whom she hates with a fiery passion of hellfire.
Yeah.
So I think that would have been a better character to use. But I've noticed that, between the first Wonder Woman film and this one, Patty tries to stick to villains and iterations in whatever era she's trying to work with. Because the first Wonder Woman movie is only set in World War I because of Captain America.
Yeah.
And everybody's been really upfront with that they couldn't do a World War II movie without it drawing too many dumbass comparisons to Captain America. So they just, fortunately, we've had 2 world wars. Haha. Please note my obvious sarcasm. So that's why they moved it back, but we still saw a lot of very heavy Golden Age references, particularly with Dr. Poison. I mean, hell, those Golden Age references were so specific that Patty got the damn color of her gloves right.
Yeah.
Like, that's how intense and in-depth with these things that she goes, because Dr. Poison's had a lot of different iterations over the years, but in her Golden Age iteration, she had kind of reddish pink gloves and this green, hazmat bodysuit thing. And that's what she was wearing in the movie. So we saw a lot of Golden Age connection there. And in the 80s, we, see Maxwell Lord in his 80s iteration, which I won't go so far as to say that it was a mistake, but it didn't really make sense in comparison to how we see him now.
Yeah. So it's like, I enjoy it, but it's very bizarre. So I want to know how y'all want to proceed this, because we can go play by play for the rest of the movie, or we can just talk about the the characters, and then work in our thoughts on the movie throughout that.
I think talking about the characters and kind of how they relate to the larger plot might be easier.
All right. Well, then let's kick it back off with Cheetah, because
okay. Hold up, I gotta get all my knives out because I'm gonna have to shank some people.
Oh no, I'm not. I loved this, and I will say that I like Kristen Wiig. I knew there was something boiling in you ever since you were that girl at Target on SNL. Like you've been waiting for something like this, and damn if you didn't bring it. Like, Jesus. Oh, I was gonna let Mary moan for a second, but I guess she was done.
No. I was actually very nervous when I heard they cast Kristen Wiig.
Mm-hmm.
And now, do not misunderstand. I am a massive fan of Kristen Wiig. I'm a huge fan of her SNL stuff. I mean, Bridesmaids is beyond hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, and the internet's gonna come after me for this, I liked Ghostbusters.
I mean, same.
Honestly, an easy way to reconcile it with everyone is just consider it Ghostbusters for lesbians.
Yeah.
And there we go. That rectifies the existence of the entire film, is that it's Ghostbusters for the gays. So, and in everything, in most of her body of work, we've seen kind of that funny gal aspect. And there are more serious moments that we've seen bits and pieces of, but I mean, we're talking about we're talking about the most sinister iteration of Cheetah. There have been 4 different Cheetahs, and Barbara Minerva is the most pervasive. She's the most popular. And Barbara is downright fucking evil. I mean, they kind of lightened her up a bit in Rebirth, and that's, hell, even that whole friends to enemies thing that Diana and Barbara have going on in the film, that's actually from Rucka. So there's a lot of Greg Rucka in this movie. But, so that's actually a Rebirth edition. In Perez, Barbara's just evil. But, so I was honestly, I was a little worried, because I'm like, look, she can do Barbara. And, that's why we see Barbara's kind of the lovable klutz. That's a very Kristen Wiig, archetype. But the term I use is cheetification, just because it's a funny word I came up with when I was writing the review. That White House fight. Sorry, I'm all stuffed up today. But that fight at the White House, when she just kind of steps in and she sheds every single piece of that levity, funny girl aspect, and just so we see kind of the Rucka Barbara to straight Perez Cheetah, just dropping that and picking up that sinister nature. I was blown away.
Yeah, no, like there's the moment like when they go to see the Mayan hobo dude, and she has like the really thick cheetah overcoat on, and then you see her like literally shed that when she shows up to the White House. That's gone. She's just wearing a really more like tight like jacket, and you see the look on her face has altered. You see that she's like almost symbolically let go of her past as a comedic actress, and has just come in ready to swing and throw hands. And it's like, yes, I want this. And her tone, her stature as she's walking in, like she literally just shows up and just yeets Diana and Steve across the room, which I thought was just glorious. And then when they got the guns on her, she just like jumps up in the air and it just bolts down the hallway, and it was just, yes, all of this. But then there's the moment at the end of the movie where like Pedro looks at her and goes, "What do you want?" She's like, "I want to be an apex predator." I was like,
that line is so beautifully delivered.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that line is pure Perez. And, she kind of does that little whisper speak, "I want to be an apex predator." And I'm like, yes, give me that. That line was brilliant. And then in the fight with Cheetah at the end, we're talking full cheetification, where Diana's like, "You have to renounce your wish." And she kind of growls and says, "Never." Like, that, that is peak Cheetah, and I love it.
And then, like, there's still that moment where she goes, "You're still patronizing me," which I will say, that line right there speaks to, I think, the only shortcoming of, Barbara's arc, is she sort of shows up with the, like, the best way I can describe this is the Jamie Foxx of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like, you're the nerd, you're like the walking in klutz, but like you just showed up, you were hired 4 weeks ago apparently, but then
the Pamela Isley in the
like she should have been here, like she should like what'd you say there?
I was gonna say, in regards to Travis's joke, it is such a comic book movie trope to have like the nerdy glasses type turn into the badass. I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, like, that was one of the biggest criticisms that was a thing, but I was cool with it. What bugs me is that she wasn't there longer. Like, I feel as if her and Diana would have had more of a working relationship beforehand, and it wasn't just like after the second day of knowing her, I want to be just like Diana. I was like, wait, hold up. Like, it felt more as if it should have been something that, oh, she's always seen Diana at work, she always admired her, and then she finally gets recognized. That would have been the best moment. But other than that, I have no complaints. Like, Cheetah was handled greatly other than that. And there's the moment at the end where everybody renounces their wish, but Kristen Wiig doesn't say it. She's, like, regressed because of Pascal giving up his stuff, but, like, she doesn't say she fully renounces it. So it's like, did Patty just sort of, like, put her on the shelf for later? Like,
she has said recently, I think after the fast track, Warner Brothers announced almost immediately that Wonder Woman 3 was being fast tracked.
yes.
And Patty made an offhanded comment about how maybe Cheetah will come back.
Yes.
I really hope she does, honestly.
And I mean, I think Kristen Wiig, Kristen Wiig is the major performance of the film.
Definitely.
Fact.
Like, a lot of people were saying that, like, she was wasted. No, like, Cheetah works her ass off here.
I would have preferred to see a few minutes shaved off of a few other scenes to have an extended fight with Cheetah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. What we did have was just beautiful because I know parts of Kristen Wiig's costumes were actually practical effects.
Really?
Because I'm the face detailing, I think she's wearing fake teeth. But Patty was very upfront about the fact that the majority of this film was actually practical effects.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, you can kind of see that with the flying bits, that it looks kind of cheesy.
That's fine.
But, you know, yeah, all the explosions, shit smashing into each other, at least a decent chunk of that was practical effects. And I'm a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro, so I'm always for more practical effects.
Most def. I love practical effects and stuff. That's why I like the older Star Wars stuff. Still rings high for me, is the use of practical. I think the fight with Cheetah speaks really highly to me because there's that really annoying New 52 Justice League quote from Diana that like the really hardcore neckbeards like to use, thinking that Diana's just this hard ass, where she's like you and Bruce keep having your villains come back because you never deal with them. I deal with my villains. What she meant by that was that she tries to befriend or heal her villains so that way they don't keep coming back. And there's that moment in the water where like she's trying to tell Minerva, like, Barbara, yo, give this up. Like, you don't need to do this. And Barbara still sees her as the chick who patronized her unintentionally. And she's just like, never. So Diana's like, all right. And it's like shoves her in the water. And it kind of felt like the symbolic next step in a way, where she's like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. And it just, it broke my heart a little bit.
I thought it was funny where she was just like, daughter of Zeus, this electricity's not going to do shit to me.
So no, like, it just the entire Cheetah arc was so well done for me. Travis, do you? Oh, go ahead, Mary.
Oh no, I was gonna say I need like 3 minutes to rant about something.
Okay. Before we leave the 3-minute rant, Travis, do you have any other opinions on Cheetah?
Cheetah's kind of the reason why I think this was like great actors, bad script, because I wanted more focus on Kristen Wiig and Cheetah more than I wanted on Maxwell Lord and Pedro Pascal. Don't get me wrong, Kristen Wiig really, really surprised me this movie with how like not comedic she was, and with how believable that performance was, and not to mention Pedro Pascal was really, really good. He's a very good actor. I've always liked his work, but I wanted more of Cheetah than I did of Max, and it feels like another Batman and Robin reference. It feels like Cheetah was Maxwell's Bane, if that makes any sense. It really does, and she got a lot of development, and that was really cool. But in my opinion, it was not enough. Like, I wanted to see like kind of her descent into cold hatred for the world, and without it being just Wonder Woman patronized me one time because I was as strong as her. That didn't sit well with me. Really, really didn't.
Well, all right. Mary, do you have any rebuttal before your rant?
I'm just gonna let it stand.
Okay. We'll engage your rant.
Actually, I think we all just wanted to see less of Steve Trevor.
See,
yeah.
yeah,
Undoubtedly, yes.
I love how convolutedly stupid his return was. Like, oh, he's in some other motherfucker's body. I was like,
comic book Diana would have had a really big problem with that.
Yeah, like literally, it's very implied that she slept with him, and it's like, so you just slept with this man who's basically just a skin suit? Like,
and then at the end of the movie, she's like, "Hey, you look good in that. I've seen you naked."
Yeah, no, it just it bothers me. And she's like, "I only see you," and I'm like, "I bet you do. I bet because you never saw Steve like Steve's under area so you have no idea what's going on down there."
She does. They slept together in the first movie.
Oh yeah, they did. Never mind. So
yeah, she talked about all the books
but no, it was so weird, and I can't help but feel a little bit bad for the dude who played this the skin suit, because it's like, damn, that's your whole house they fucked with. Like, I can't imagine him waking up and being like, what the fuck happened to my house? Like,
where the fuck are my fanny packs?
Them fanny packs were on point though. That was great. I appreciated that. But no, like Steve Trevor, it just I understand why they did it, because, and it goes to the complaints a lot of people have of why is there a movie in between the first Wonder Woman and BVS, because of how Diana is so hurt by the world, which there could be something else that happens, or what have you. This could be a new timeline or hyper time, as we know from the DC universe, where hyper time is multiple different parallel timelines. But regardless, I think them doing this was trying to fix Diana's humanity before Justice League and BVS. That way she isn't just solely trying to bring back Superman because he's the embodiment of hope, that she can hope for herself and exist on her own without needing Clark to come back to life, if that makes sense.
I think, unfortunately, it was because there's the line in BVS where Diana says that she walked away from mankind. That I feel like that line has been wildly misinterpreted, and warning for anyone I'm giving Zack Snyder credit. The line has been horrifically misinterpreted because, she quote unquote walked away from mankind. That doesn't mean she didn't do anything. That means she left the public eye. Because if we see the first Wonder Woman movie, her being all out and with the people and, chilling with the village that she just rescued and shit, everybody kind of ended up dead.
Yeah, and you see her being a secret vigilante in this one.
That had a very heavy effect on her. That, she kind of got, deeply involved with what was going on in No Man's Land and everything like that, and she saw a lot of death and destruction. And so she kind of left the public eye, but at no point does that mean that she didn't do anything. And Zack Snyder is just kind of sitting there going, wait, that's not what I meant. So, I mean, I think, if you look at it in conjunction with the first Wonder Woman movie, everything makes more sense. But I feel like, the line is muddled. I feel like that's one part of it, is that, Zack Snyder likes to lean on poetic imagery a lot. And the other half is nitpicking because people don't like him.
Yep.
Because I feel like it just kind of, hey, I'm not a fan of his work, to let's attack the man personally. I do not understand it.
Neither do I.
But I'm going to leave it at that. I like some of his movies because I like the big, crappy bullshit. I think it's fun.
Wasn't this also a husband-wife movie too? I could have sworn I saw his wife was a
Yeah,
producer as
because
well.
she's been a producer on almost all of the DC movies.
Oh yeah, no, he works very closely with his wife, Deborah Snyder. They work very closely together.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about before we talk about Diana's character arc overall in this movie. I want to talk about the Cairo scenes. Because I know a lot of people, I know a lot of people's big criticisms of these scenes are the slips in CGI and whatnot.
There's also a bit of kind of socio-political criticism that I've seen for those scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And some I am not going to say definitively what I am not going to lob accusations one way or the other. I just know a lot of prominent critics and Muslim people, Arab people kind of saying that they feel like the movie has an anti-Arab tilt because of course the Arab guy has oil,
It felt a little on their attempt to go super that direction, and I tried to ignore that solely because the whole oil theme with Max was just very bizarre. But I just, it was very weird how they're I want to retake back my land, and it just why why did
I'm not gonna lie, that specific Cairo part, I'm just gonna be the one to say it. That Islamophobia felt like Back to the Future's kind of Islamophobia kind of shit.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
That's a good reference. Mm.
Yeah, where it was not as bad as 9/11, but still pretty fucking bad. Why does he have to? He didn't say it, but he used more words to say "death to the people who took my land." You know what I mean? Or didn't follow the cause or whatever, and it really struck a chord with me.
The part where I'm not gonna get too deep in is that you have a lot of people saying that the movie is just Israeli propaganda because Gal Gadot is Israeli, and
shit.
Yeah, that's really heavy, and she was, after you turn 18, if you're Israeli, you have to, I believe men have to serve 4 years in the military and women have to serve 2. Don't quote me, that's just what I think, but I know it is compulsory military service. So Diana, Jesus Christ, Gal Gadot was an Israeli soldier because you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a conscientious objector clause, I'm not sure, but if you're an Israeli citizen and you turn 18, you have, there are several countries where you have to be in the military. So a lot of people will point out that she was a soldier at one point, but that's the only caveat, is that kind of okay, but you have to be. Whether or not, I don't know enough about Gal Gadot's personal belief system to say what I think is going on there.
Nor is she very public about that either.
Yeah, she said something stupid, I think in 2012 or 2013.
And even then, since then, she's been very speaking on that to make sure that her public work is focused on trying to make Wonder Woman a symbol.
She has addressed it later on, and the answer she gave was something to the effect of, playing Wonder Woman has really shaped and changed the way she looks at things, which, playing a character like this, I imagine it would.
Yeah.
And now she just really wants a peaceful solution. That, she doesn't want to see a lot of fighting. She wants to see a peaceful solution, which is very basic, but also very non-committal, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
But whether, I'm not going to say, one way or the other, if I think the movie is Israeli propaganda or if it's, radical Zionism.
It was just very weird to throw in.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie, I don't want to make this kind of reference, because I don't mean it to be that kind of thing. It felt sort of the detour that Star Wars, the Last Jedi took, where it was like, like we're gonna divert over here to Cairo, and it's like, you didn't need to go there. Like, it didn't need to be an Egyptian artifact. It could have been a Greek artifact. It could have been this, like, or that. And like, it felt very strange that you needed to go to Cairo to fight Pedro. Like, you could have went anywhere else, but you chose here and then included that information. And like, yeah, he got the security team out of it, but why? It was very strange. I know there was a lot of people laughing and making cracks about how she used the lasso to save the kids, but it's an action movie. It's a superhero movie. What are you gonna do? But
it's a magic rope. It can do whatever the plot needs it to do.
Yeah.
There are no arbitrary limits on the lasso. She's broken, it's an unbreakable lasso, but in side stories we've seen her break pieces off of them and give it to a little boy who wanted to be Wonder Woman. Like, wow, that is a really obscure reference, Mary. It's a Gil Simone story where a bunch of kids are playing Justice League and this little boy wanted to be Wonder Woman, and I think he has like paper towel wrist bracers.
Nice.
And it's very cute. And the other kids are like, ew, you can't be a girl, bleh. And Wonder Woman just kind of pops up and goes, hey, what's going on? She looks at little boy and says, here. And she snaps a piece off of the lasso and says, here, you can have a lasso. And if they want to tease you again, give them this and make them say what they really think. Whatever. It's very cute.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel as if people need to like quit reading so much into this and just enjoy the fact that it's a good ride. And like I love I love how fast Diana sort of just changes into her Wonder Woman outfit in the car. Like it felt sort of like a semi spin. Like, hey Steve, wait here, and she's like goes off. I love that moment so much.
Look, if we're gonna do a cheesy costume change, commit to the goddamn spin.
I don't think they want to. I think they keep avoiding it specifically because they don't want to like go over the hill with it.
It's kitschy, and I think you want to avoid some of the kitschy stuff, like the mid-credit scene, if you will.
We'll get to that.
If they had touched on that in the film, I think it would have been a little bit of a oof, did you really just do that? But actually, fuck it, that mid-credit scene is something I want to talk about.
Yeah, well, no, we're gonna get to the mid-credit scene. I want to talk about like Diana's arc real quick, and then we will dive into that mid-credit scene.
Hold up, I never got my rant. Give me a second.
All right, go ahead, rant. Do it.
And honestly, I think that this actually serves as a lead-in to Diana's arc. Actually, as I sit here and think about it, I don't want it to seem, I just want to acknowledge that I'm not being dismissive of people saying that the movie has elements of Islamophobia or is Israeli propaganda. I'm not being dismissive. I'm saying that I don't know enough about these situations. I am not educated enough in these situations to kind of say one way or the other. Obviously, the whole Egyptian Arab has oil scene, it did make me incredibly uncomfortable because it felt like a needless jab. And look, Russia has oil too. It's it's the waning days of the Soviet Union. They could have done something there. I feel, and like kind of what Travis said, it was teetering on some things. I want to think that wasn't intentional. I know that they were probably poking at the fact that the price of oil in the 80s was skyrocketing, so it was a very, lucrative investment. But, I just wanted to kind of clear things up because I realized that I may have seemed a little dismissive and I don't want to be. I'm just saying that I'm kind of a dumbass.
No,
Anyway, so I just kind of wanted to lay that disclaimer that, Lexi Alexander talked about this at length on her Twitter. So if you want to check that out, I do recommend it. But my rant kind of leads into talking about Diana's characterization and her character arc. That the damage that some writers have done to her character is irreversible. Jeff Johns obviously being the biggest one. James, don't hurt me. Scott Snyder hasn't helped.
Okay, hold on.
Scott Snyder fundamentally does not understand the character. He doesn't write her poorly. He writes her very well for the characterizations that he uses, but he doesn't understand the character.
I don't want to say
he keeps Diana very hard.
Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
the biggest problem that Scott Snyder has with Diana is that I think he hasn't played that, like, he hasn't read that ball well enough, as in, like, he hasn't gone into that world, whereas, like, you and like Mary, you and I, we've both read New Mutants so that, like, till we've been blue in the face, so naturally between the two of us we could probably tell a pretty good New Mutant story. But
Yeah.
like same thing with Scott. He read Batman as a kid. He wrote the hell out of Batman, and he had read Justice League as a kid. He's made that point very clear. But it's not like Scott Snyder was picking up every issue of Wonder Woman, so he feels a disconnect with the character. That's why you see with Death Metal, he's trying so hard to like give her some credit. And even in like the newest Tales, like the end of the the DC multiverse that came out to this past week is like him trying to give Diana more props, more stuff. Like, he made a point with Death Metal to say, I'm going to give Diana a shot and try to make something of her, to the point that he literally threw her into the multiverse forge and turned her into Superman 1,000,000. Like, he's trying. There's this like awesome shot that like of her fighting the Batman Who Laughs in the new issue, and it's like he wants to, but I agree. I don't think he's fully on board with it.
He has improved. I mean, his Justice League with Wonder, it reads real rough with her. And he has improved, and I was impressed with Death Metal, particularly the interactions she's had with Poison Ivy. And Poison Ivy is a character that Scott Snyder writes very well. Mm-hmm. That's a character that he really does understand, the kind of sympathetic anti-hero characterization that ironically is the most popular with Poison Ivy. And so he understands that there is a baseline compassion with Ivy, and the fact that Wonder Woman has her contained so that way she doesn't experience what the hell happened to the world. It's a bit extreme, but it's a very Wonder Woman thing to do, that she'd rather cause a little bit of pain than have you experience agony. Yeah. And Snyder has improved because, you know, that it's been a long-standing critique is that he didn't write Wonder Woman well at all. And that's a critique that's been going on for a long time, and it shows that he's been paying attention to it. And unfortunately, that doesn't negate the harm that was done. And I'm not sitting here going, Scott Snyder murdered her character, blah. No, if anybody did that, it's Jeff Johns.
Yeah, I'll admit to that.
Because Jeff Johns, and he doesn't know how to write women.
No, you're right.
And, you know, New 52 era Scott Snyder didn't really know how to write lady superheroes, because there's a bit of a different dynamic there, but I really do like to lay out his body of work, and you see that progression and that he has gotten better.
Yeah, because you see it like right at the tip of Endgame where Diana is Jokerized, and it's like, you're lucky that she's Jokerized, otherwise you'd be doing really bad right now, Scott.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that yes, she is a warrior. That's, you know, she's an Amazon. That kind of comes with the territory. But the New 52 turned her into a battle-hardened... There's a coldness to her that wasn't there before. Mm-hmm. And what makes the sword and the shield significant, and the lasso versus sword and shield argument is a pervasive one, and Wonder Woman fans will rip each other to shreds about it. Yeah. Like, it is that intense of an argument. What makes them significant is that she will pick them up when she has to, but she does not rely on them. Because, you know, the lasso was her only weapon for a long time because, you know, she tried to resort to peaceful solutions. In Rebirth, there's a wonderful scene that Greg Rucka wrote where Diana talks about the fact that she usually gives people 3 chances before she engages in combat. That, you know, you can, you know, take shots at that woman 3 times, and if you haven't surrendered by that 3rd time, then she's gonna escalate it. She doesn't want to, but she will. And I'm going to bastardize the Gail Simone quote for a moment. And it's something to the effect of, if you want to stop a meteor, you call Superman. If you want to stop a bad guy, you call Batman. If you want to stop a war, you call Wonder Woman. Wow. And that's not, you know, hey, she's gonna come kill everybody and whoop everybody's asses. No, that means that she is going to put a stop to it by any means she has to. You know, if she's got to wrap dudes up in the lasso and expose them to, because the lasso can do pretty much anything you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she will talk you down. She will try to engage through peace, but if she can't, then she realizes that. A la breaking Maxwell Lord's neck.
Yeah,
that
like she had no regrets about that. She did what she had to do. So, like, and there's that shot after she breaks the neck where Superman's just like, "What the fuck?" And it's like, "No, I did what I had to do."
Let's not forget, she also slit Superman's throat to do that. So
fucking I love it.
Yeah.
And that's actually a prime example of that narrative. Is that, you know, what sets her apart from Batman and Superman is that. If we look at it in in base terms, take a lot of the extra stuff out. There is, and this is partially a personal belief and it's partially a philosophical one, there is a certain degree of irresponsibility that comes with Batman and Superman. That they will not do everything in their power to keep people safe. Because sometimes some people just need shot. Some bad guys just need killed. Like the Joker, for example. How many billions of people, because Gotham has, an inconsistent number of citizens, how many people have died because Batman won't do the thing?
Exactly.
Especially since Joker War.
Whoo!
Exactly. That they keep upping the stakes with Joker more and more and more. And I do think that's partially a problem with the over-reliance of Joker, is that every writer has to up the stakes, and it makes Batman look worse and worse as time goes on.
Travis, we were talking about last week where it's like they need to do what they did with No Man's Land, where they just put him away for a long time, and then possibly bring him back. Because, like, Endgame with Snyder was was as far as you could possibly go with Joker. You made him immortal, and then Snyder even won up to that with the Batman Who Laughs. Sadly, and I will say sadly because the Batman Who Laughs was a mistake. I will stand on that fact. The Batman Who Laughs was a mistake.
Yep.
See, the weird part about that is that Tynan at the end of Joker War kind of did exactly that. Like, Joker straight up was like, I've had my fun for a while, I need to lay low type of thing. Now, how long he's going to stay low, that's really the question. But
the movie made
the dynamic to where Batman's going to let him die, hopefully. I say that gritting my teeth and holding my breath.
And I think that's a big problem, that the more they raise the stakes on Joker, the more Batman begins to look irresponsible. Because how many people, and this is a bit of a philosophical question, but how many deaths is Bruce indirectly responsible of because he wants to maintain his personal morality? And, that like I said, there is no right or wrong answer to that question. It's a philosophical thought experiment, in my opinion. Is that, is he irresponsible for doing this? And, that kind of ties back to Wonder Woman killing Maxwell Lord. She did not want to, but she did because she had to. And those moments...
What worse would he have done?
He was ready to, just ruin everything. And, there's that moment where she ties the lasso around him and he's like, what can we do to stop you? You have to literally kill me, dog. I'm going to keep going. And it's like, all right, fine, crack.
It's the blank look on her face. It's a, kind of a grim look that she knows exactly what she is doing. It was televised all over the world. She was a UN ambassador at the time. Themyscira was completely tossed out of the United Nations for it. Batman kicks her out of the Justice League. Superman, we see Superman's immediate reaction. He's like, what did you do? And, she's sitting there kind of like, bitch, he was going to make you kill a bunch of people. I saved you. So not only did she
punched me to the sun.
Yeah. So not only did she stop Maxwell Lord, she saved the people that Superman would have killed, but she also saved Superman. Because the mental anguish of Superman having killed even one person, even one innocent person, would be too much for him to bear. So she killed one bad guy so he could maintain himself. And so these moments of escalation are kind of neutered when, you know, she's running around killing bitches in the New 52.
It's a little excessive.
And so, like, that's what makes it significant, is that when she picks up the sword and shield, she's gonna fuck some shit up. Like, for example, her fight with Medusa, where a bitch literally blinds herself.
Yeah. I love how you're just like, yes, that's the most best moment from her.
I'm sorry, that is probably personally one of my favorite Wonder Woman moments, is when she's fighting Medusa in that giant fucking baseball stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, I'm not going to win. You know what? I'm going to take one of your snake heads and fucking blind myself.
Nice.
So that's kind of my rant, is that Jeff Johns turning her into a bit of an ice queenie bitch who likes to kill people has ruined a lot of what she is. And Brian Azzarello did not help matters.
Right, and I will even call back to Infinite Crisis, where Johns had already gotten criticism for how he wrote Wonder Woman before Infinite Crisis, in different like sections like Teen Titans and JSA and what have you. And when he comes in with Infinite Crisis trying to fix that, like how Snyder's doing with Metal, and is like he has Diana meet older Diana from the Earth 2, but she's like a ghost, and it's very stupid. I'm sorry. Well, because I don't. As much as I used to love Jeff Johns, he's like kind of being revealed to be a racist and an asshole, so I don't really care anymore. But like,
he can fuck off and die.
Yeah, no, like
He's a racist?
I used to love that man, but I hate him now. And it's like there's that moment where he.
Oh, Ray Fisher tore it all down.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, it's over now. Like we don't care. Like it's over.
Damn. See, these are things I was not caught up on, and like Infinite Crisis is my favorite. I have the hard copy in my house. Fuck.
Yeah. So it's like I have like half the trades for Teen Titans on my shelf. Like I understand, dog. So it's like there's that moment where Diana meets her Earth 2 counterpart, who's a ghost, who like takes her to Earth 2 in a ghost invisible jet, which is so fucking weird. And she's like trying to tell Diana she needs to feel more, and it's like, what?
And let me contextualize this for you, that Wonder Woman fans were very brutal about these kinds of things, ironically. That Tom King wrote 2 shitty issues with Wonder Woman. It was when Bruce and Diana end up going off to like the hyperbolic time chamber or whatever the fuck it was, where they gotta fight a bunch of
that so much.
Like, I'm sorry, it's a hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z. So they kind of have to go off there and they have to fight things, and they're there for literally 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the dude can go bang his girlfriend or whatever. And this is right before the, I'm using air quotes here, wedding, that, you know, Diana has a bit of a seductive way to her, that she's like, look, we've been here for 10 years. I'm horny. We should do it. And Bruce is like, maybe not. And she's like, ugh, fine.
That was so dumb.
Like, that is a gross bastardization of the whole issue, but it's that seductive quality that she doesn't have. And those issues, I think it's a 2-part story.
It is.
Those issues were so universally panned of, this is such a clear fuck up of Wonder Woman, that Tom King publicly apologized for the issues.
Which he publicly apologized for Heroes in Crisis.
Right. But I mean, that should tell you kind of, and it's not even, you know, oh, we're going to attack this person because he got Wonder Woman wrong. There are people who do, and I do not condone that. But even, you know, I'm using air quotes again, the legitimate critics are kind of like, this is not good. And it's, you know, very much that hardened, blank, cruel warrior aspect, that even if Diana is romantically interested in someone, if they're not into her, she's like, okay, this sucks, but whatever. And it's just, like I said, so that's a decent example of how particular Wonder Woman fans are with her iterations. And that's where I think the divide comes in, because despite her popularity, surprisingly few people have read more than a singular run or 2. Ian took it in a snarky direction and said even more than an issue or 2. But surprisingly few people, in comparison to the DC fandom as a whole, have read very few solo runs. And that's where a lot of this is established. And if you're only exposed to her through things like Justice League and whatnot, you're going to get a very pigeonholed look at her.
I've read a lot of the Perez run solely because of Donna, and I have no regrets.
Oh yeah, Perez is fantastic. John Byrne is a transphobe, so he can fuck off and die. Jimenez is another fantastic run. Obviously, Simone and Rucka knocked it out of the park.
Yes.
So there's a lot there. I do not recommend. I recommend singular issues in the Silver Age, mostly because Robert Kanger can suck on a giant dick for all I care.
Don't forget Orlando.
Oh yeah, no, like unfortunately my brain still lives in the pre-Flashpoint crap. But Orlando understands the character. And I'm a Wonder Woman snob. I think we've established this. He wrote the singular greatest single issue of Wonder Woman that I have ever read.
Yes.
And I have consumed decades of this character's media. And he wrote the singular best issue that I have ever read. It's a one-shot, and it's about Transformation Island, which is a real big Golden Age throwback there. And it's about, oh my god, what's her face? Mayfly? I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember the villain off the top of my head, but it fully understands who the character is. That, this is a bitch that shot her. This bitch, shot her in the abdomen, and Diana says, you know what? I'm gonna go visit her and see how she's doing. And the issue takes place over several years, and that, 4 years, Wonder Woman goes to see this woman who brutalized her, and they do become friends eventually, and it's that interaction with Diana that kind of causes her to rehabilitate a bit. And when she is finally released, Wonder Woman's waiting there with the invisible jet, like, hey, we're besties, I'm gonna take you home now.
That's
and it's
about fixing the problem. I love that.
She will whoop your ass from to the sun and back, but if you're genuinely very sorry, she'll buy you some ice cream. Anyway, that's my rant. It blew over 3 minutes. The damage that Jeff Johns and others have done cannot be rectified. And I scream into the void every time someone's like, but Wonder Woman would just kill him. And it hurts.
So, overall, I think that Diana's arc here, I want to spit is really well done. I think the moment that everyone keeps arguing about it online, of why is Wonder Woman crying? I'm like, shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
One of the reason why I'm saying shut the fuck up is because there's the literal neck snap that is Man of Steel, where fucking Clark is...
Maxwell Lord neck snap, god damn it.
Yeah, freaking Clark is going, ah! And has to have Amy Adams run up and hold him because of what he's done. But you're telling me Diana having to literally give up the person she already lost once and heal herself and run to go save the world isn't worth crying about? You can suck a dick, because that is still worth crying over.
I mean, hell, even in Superman, when Lois Lane dies, Christopher Reeve Superman starts crying and runs around the world and turns back time, all Cher style.
All Cher style.
He literally turns back time.
The gays love Cher, Travis. We need to get over this.
The reference is impeccable.
But no, if you're really gonna get mad at Diana crying over Steve Trevor, yes, she's essentially fucking a skin suit with Steve Trevor inside of it, but it still hurts, man. I don't know what to tell you. She still is has that really powerful moment when she's facing off against Max, and she's on the ground pleading to the world, renounce your wish because I had to. And that sticks to that moment for me of, she's one of the strongest heart-willed persons in the world. And that's why there's that moment, and I hate giving John's credit for this, but there's that moment in Blackest Night where Diana becomes a Star Sapphire. You would think Diana would be a Green Lantern. No.
No, Star Sapphire made the most sense.
She would be a Star Sapphire because she loves people. She cares. She cares so much that she like I hate to make the fucking Jesus reference. She gave up her love to love the entire world. Like, she had to make the hardest freaking choice to protect the world. And so when you see her do that, it's powerful.
And I honestly think Steve's death, I guess, I'm using air quotes again, in this movie is actually far more emotional for me than the first one. Because in the first one, it felt very much like man gets big damn hero moment when he blows up the plane. It's very emotional, and Pine does it very well. Unfortunately, I think Steve Trevor as a character is supremely boring and uninteresting. Because he was a self-insert for Marston in the Golden Age, and then not much really changed except he became Soldier Man. So it's not Pine, it's not anybody. I just think Steve is boring. But in this movie, he had to, not only he does a suicide dive in the first one, and that's, indicative of he will also do what he has to do to save the world. But I found something more emotional in the pleading with Diana to let him go. He's talking about, I got to have a second chance. I got to see this, fantastical world of the 1980s. He got to see where society went. And I think most people would want a second chance. And he got to have that. But he knows that, it ties back to the first movie. I can save today, but you can save the world.
Yes.
And it is that love. It is that mutual respect and the acknowledgement that.
Oh, Mary cut out.
In the first movie, she says that the Amazons are a bridge to a greater understanding. And there's, that selflessness that we see on Themyscira in both films and hell, even in the comic books, that she brings to the world in the end of the movie. Of, James, like you said, you need to renounce your wish like I did because the collective is more important. Yes. And bad things always happen when Diana gets selfish. And she doesn't do it very often, and it's not malicious. If she wants something too much for herself, then things can go a little wonky. That's why, and this is ironic, that I'm constantly complaining Diana should have a girlfriend, because god damn it, pull the trigger on that. That's why I don't like, this is going to get me in trouble, I don't like Etta Candy's retcon. Because in Rebirth, Greg Rucka retconned her to a gay woman. And I feel like that's just a little too convenient to say, oh, hey, if we want to put gay stuff in Wonder Woman, we don't have to, piss people off by giving Diana a girlfriend. We can just, bring Etta in and have Etta have a girlfriend instead. So I think it's a little too convenient to retcon Etta into being gay. And it doesn't sit right with me for that reason, that it's a little too convenient. And just give Wonder Woman to Marguerite Bennett already. But all of that aside, that's why I sort of think it doesn't make sense for Diana to be in a long-term relationship, because she can't have she can't play favorites. Yeah. So because bad things always happen when she does, and it's like I said, it's convoluted and it doesn't make sense. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. And
oh god.
So I just wanted to tie it back. So that's why I kind of felt like this was more emotional, because Steve, Chris Pine's pleading with her, like, you have to let me go. And I found that to be intensely emotional, and it played to Diana's emotional strength, because, she's the best fighter in the DC universe, and she is. But she's also, I'd wager the second or first emotionally strongest character in the DC universe. And emotional strength is something that gets shit on a lot. Because emotional strength can mean just as much as physical strength. I mean, my god, look at Lois Lane. Lois Lane can go toe-to-toe with Superman because she's such an emotionally strong character. she is, you know, the emotional strength behind a good Superman book.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to cut me off because I'm ranting and going 14 different.
Okay. Travis, what was your opinion of like that scene where Steve tells her to let him go?
Oh man, I'm gonna just reiterate what I told you guys before. I'm not saying that Gal is a bad actress. That would be a fucking lie. Okay, I just think she needs to get better at sad stuff. Personally,
No, she does. She couldn't keep up with Pine in that scene.
yeah, Pine did all the heavy lifting in that, and to me, she was like doing this weird, ugly cry face, but with no tears, and I'm like, man, this is rough.
But like,
this is really rough.
But I will say, damn it, if that moment when she's running away and she like says, "I renounce my wish," like that was a powerful moment.
And when she busts out the lasso and that cry of just, okay, I gotta do some shit, but there's, you know, it's just this anguished scream that she does, and she's like, God fucking damn it.
And then it's like, hey, I can fly. And it's like, yes, do it.
Which was weird for me, because like it was literally just that one scene, because later on, when she has the lasso wrapped around Maxwell Lord's neck and shit's getting sad, she crushed it. And I literally remember watching it like today and being like, what the fuck? Where was this earlier?
Oh my god, the lasso whip reminded me, Gal Gadot apparently she had to get like shoulder and back surgery after the movie.
Oh wow, really?
Gnarly.
Yeah, because I guess she got fucked up in a couple of stunts that she had to get surgery afterwards.
Damn.
Sucks.
So no, that's commitment right there.
Because we saw her on the wire rigging for that. You know, because I don't remember if they were released, the pictures were leaked, whatever, but we saw her on the wire rigging for that, and everyone's like, oh my god, Invisible Jet.
Mm-hmm. And Invisible Jet. That
fuck you, I loved it.
Like I don't. She like
I have them.
She starts like pulling a Mara and like willing the element in her hand, and then she's just like invisible. I'm like, like this is the problem with her being the daughter of Zeus. You get weird shit like this, and it would.
Contextually, it made sense. I am the owner. Ask Victoria how much she hates it. I have 4 invisible jets.
Like clear lightsaber plastic jets?
Yes.
Dude.
I have the massive like 13-inch pop figure invisible jet. I have the Dorbs invisible jet. I have the invisible jet that came with the Legion of Collectors, and I have the goddamn Christmas ornament that's the invisible jet.
Nice.
I have 4 of them. I was screaming my goddamn head off.
And they made it a fighter jet too. Like I was like, really, like it just. And I love Chris Pine. Chris Pine plays every scene like a fucking
Diana.
Like he's like, well, shit, Diana. Like no, that was from him going like, oh, there's radar now. Oh, we're fucked.
I love that.
Like, oh, they can find us even in the skies, no matter what I do. And like, I was so afraid they were gonna have like a Iron Man 1 style like chase through the clouds, but then they didn't do it. I was like, thank you for saving us some time. You just made the jet invisible and flew off. Like that made it really convenient. But just the way she like willed it in her hands, I was like, that's really weird. Why doesn't she just like touch it? Like it would have made sense if you just touched it. But the fact that you're like willing it like a ball of air in your hand, like you're fucking Aang from Avatar, it was just so fucking weird.
I don't think the scenes are related at all, but I just think it's really funny that the 2 major instances that the word shit is used in the DC EU have involved Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because in BVS, when the Thing crashes and Doomsday's all like, I'm gonna roast Batman, Bruce goes, well, shit. And then Doomsday powers up and Diana drops down to save him. And then that theme will never stop being incredible.
See, no, for me, let's talk about that for a second. Because, like, when you have the Hans Zimmer, like, orchestral version, like, during the Cairo scene and during the cheetah fight, I was like, I finally am hitting the guitar riff fatigue. I'm finally hitting the fatigue where, like, it's better as the riff. You can't just make it an orchestral thing and make it okay, Hans. Like, you need to just let the guitar play.
Do you want to know the weird thing about it?
What?
That's not a guitar.
What is it?
It's an electric cello.
That's awesome.
Because Tina Guo, she, she's a musician, and she has this, I'll have to send you the video later, James. She has this badass electric cello that she uses.
I love that.
So no, I got knocked on my ass when I figured out, like, oh my god, that's a cello.
So no, like, I think Diana's character arc overall is very well done. I know, like, we're going over time as it is, so I want to like move to a nice finish point. I want to say as we wrap up that even though they're fast tracking a third one, I want to see them move to the future. I don't want to see a 90s joke-filled annoyance.
I have seen some things. I haven't corroborated them. I haven't, vetted the statements. But I did see something that Patty may have said that it's going to be a contemporary story. So maybe like post-Justice League.
That would be great.
And honestly, just one other critique that I kind of want to, have a little rebuttal with is that I'm going to name names and don't go after him for this or whatever, but Donny Cates posted a tweet and he said that nobody called her Wonder Woman in the film, and that is true, and that DC, quote, needs to stop being afraid of their characters or something to that effect. And
wasn't she intentionally hiding who she was? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Come on, Donny.
And even in BVS and Justice League, she's never referred to as Wonder Woman.
Hell, fucking Aquaman, Momoa says the thing at the end of the movie.
Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash, because hell, we don't even see Flash considered until, CW's Crisis. So, like, I think that's a very specific critique that almost seemed like a pointed attack. I'm not saying that's what it was. It's just if you look at everything else, the only two named characters are kind of like Batman and Superman.
See, Donny Cates has a problem where he, like... I gotta watch my words here. Donny Cates, you need to quit writing Venom porn. I'm just gonna say it. I know I'm a Snyder fanboy and I enjoy my Batman porn, but like Venom porn needs to stop because like we're at the point now where the Empire event was already knocked off its ass by COVID, but we're still doing your Venom porn. I'm sorry, but no. Like I was kind of burnt out on you when Cosmic Ghost Rider was a thing. But anyway, when it comes to Donny Cates, I feel like he's riding the fact that people enjoy him as Marvel's emo boy a little too much, and is letting the fact that Marvel doesn't have him on a leash get to him.
He's Marvel's Scott Snyder.
No.
He did have. Isn't he the one who had Null rip Sentry in half pretty recently?
If anyone's fucking Marvel's Scott Snyder is Jason Aaron, because they both have similar upbringings where they started in indie. They are really dedicated to characters, and same thing with Batman.
But that's the thing, is that Donny Cates has the similar aesthetic. Look at Metal versus King in Black. That's what I mean, is that they write in similar fashions with similar aesthetics. And
Batman and Venom are different.
But I mean, I'm talking like Metal and King in Black, I'm not seeing King in Black do anything that Metal didn't,
My counter to that is that we had War of the Realms, so Metal and War of the Realms are similar. Meh.
All I know is that we're three very hardcore DC fans and we're drawing the ire of people. But
Bring it.
Donny Cates, he did delete the tweet because there was not a great response to it.
Yeah.
And he had a response tweet that was huffy is not the word I'm thinking of, but like, kind of meh. He was grumpy about it, as one would be when attacked for something they said. But I find that comment to be a little irritating, and the fact that people are trying to use that as a critique and that DC is, quote, afraid of their characters. Just
that's just I don't like that. And I will say this, Mr. Cates, I enjoy your writing. Don't get me wrong. I love your Thanos run, despite Cosmic Ghost Rider poking him in the side like fucking Deadpool. But like, I love your Thanos. You're a good writer. I'm not going to refute that. But I need you to put the symbiote down. Like, I feel like you're the kid with, like you're the kid with the slime at school whose parents are ready to pick him up. Where it's like, honey, you can put the slime down. It'll be there when you come back. Like, no, want to keep playing with the slime. Like, no. Like, just put it down. There's other stories to tell. You can do some other cool shit. Like, go write Doctor Strange because Mark Waid's tired of writing Doctor Strange. Like, do something else. Just put the venom down. But that's my end of that rant. The point is, Wonder Woman is a pretty good movie. I expected more of a war between Mary and Travis. I'm a little let down. But, Travis. Oh, go ahead. Mary, go ahead.
I hate you. There, how's that? I was gonna say, Travis, you're stupid, and I hate you. Is that better, James?
No, but no. Like, one day we're gonna get a real war. I'm excited about that. Like, actually, no. I get my war in a few weeks when Comic Gudo comes back because we get to have our Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain fight. But
we already know Cassandra wins in all forms.
Well, no, like, we even had the Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown fight last week, like, when you weren't here. But, like, having backup will be nice. But anyway.
Oh, no. I'm sorry that catering to... No, I'm not going to go there.
No,
I'm not going to...
But no, like, Travis, do you have any closing thoughts about the movie before we do final statements for the evening?
I didn't hate it. I didn't absolutely love it. I'll probably watch it again.
See, I'ma still stay on my, like, I'm a biracial kid who always loved Aquaman, and still say without a lack of doubt in my mind that Aquaman's the best DCEU movie, and I will die on that hill.
Water Hamlet?
Yes.
Water Hamlet, I fucking can't.
Well, yeah. But no, like, Aquaman is the best DC movie. I will die on that hill. But at the same time, I enjoyed the first one more, but I'm gonna echo what Jeremy John said on YouTube, where it's like, I enjoyed both movies, but I enjoyed the first half of Wonder Woman 1 more than this half, but I enjoyed the ending of Wonder Woman 84 more than the ending of Wonder Woman 1, if that makes sense. Like
That's a fair critique.
Yeah, it's very much like, I love Pedro's build-up, except for the Cairo stuff. I enjoy Cheetah, but at the same, and it kicks Ares and Dr. Poison out the park. And, like, the first front of Wonder Woman 1 was better.
The big problem with the second half of the first Wonder Woman film, and Patty Jenkins has fuck you money now, so she can just rip Warner Brothers a new one and they still give her money for it. Mm-hmm. She admitted that the big Ares fight in the end of Wonder Woman was studio mandated, that they wanted a big superhero fight.
Oh damn.
So I think that's why it didn't quite fit with the pacing.
Well, shit. That's kind of annoying. All right. Mary, do you have any closing thoughts before we do final statements of the evening?
Yeah. I enjoyed the movie. I really did. It's not better than the first one, and it was never going to be better than the first one. The first one had a lot of cultural importance attached to it. You know, this is a character that she was 75 years old at the time. This is her first movie. It has to deliver in these checkmarked areas. And it delivered in those checkmarked areas. No Man's Land is probably one of the most emotional moments in all of comic book movies.
Yes.
Because it's the introduction the character has been waiting 75 years for.
Mm-hmm.
So Wonder Woman 84, in terms of, quote, being better than the first one, never stood a fucking chance.
No.
I really enjoyed the movie because I do have a ridiculous, catalog brain of Wonder Woman moments, and Patty understands the emotional range of the character. So I really enjoyed that. But it was good, but not great, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
I rated it high in my review because of the little things I talked about. And, there are comic book parallel moments, like when she whips the lasso around Cheeto's wrist. That's another comic book parallel. And she rides the lightning. That's another comic book parallel. And so there's a lot of little things that Patty injected that I really enjoyed. Unfortunately, those moments really only appeal to people who have read decades of Wonder Woman, because they're little tiny innocuous things that, go into the movie, but aren't, widespread knowledge. And that's ultimately a fault on DC's part, because in 2017, they just realized, oh my god, this character is profitable, so let's try to stuff decades worth of importance in 3 years. But I'm not bitter at all.
All right.
And one thing I do want to talk about is the goddamn mid-credit scene with Linda goddamn Carter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we can do that real quick. Okay, so, whole movie, they were hyping up us like the Asteria thing. They even like have the moment where you have the male warriors fighting against her, and they show her eyes in the flashback. And I was like, "Is that Linda?" And then
like it looks familiar.
Yeah, no, like I was like, "Is that Linda?" And then like you see the ending, and I'm gonna make this joke solely because Mary and Travis will appreciate it. I love that Linda Carter can catch a fucking electrical pole, but Donna Troy can't, and that pisses me the fuck off. But anyway, but anyway,
that's so stupid. But I love that it not only ties in with the Golden Eagle armor, which is probably the most prevalent comic book callback, because that's a callback to Kingdom Come. And so I love the Golden Eagle armor. I have dreams about it, and it was perfect, and I love it, and amazing. And, Diana mentions that, she found Asteria's armor, but never found Asteria, because, she stayed behind so the Amazons could escape. So not only did Asteria manage to get away from, the Greek warriors that were trying to enslave the Amazons, that, she's been around for, let's say a couple thousand years at this point, just kind of doing whatever. And that end credit scene where, she's walking and it looks like it could be Gal Gadot. And when we see the part of her eyes, and I believe they literally just stuck the helmet on Linda Carter and said, let's take a close-up real quick. And, she has a very distinctive eye color, and I'm like, okay, I'm seeing a link. That's fun. I had no I did not know this was going to happen. Because, we had the Christmas scene tacked on, and I absolutely believe that was a later edition, because this movie was supposed to release in June, and now it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Then we get to the mid-credit scene, and we see, her walking, and then the pole snaps, and it's going to crush the baby, and we see her catch the pole, and she's wearing a golden bracer, and I'm like, what is this? And Victoria, she just kind of cocked her head, too. And, the lady's like, let me thank you. And when she turns around and does that Linda Carter hair flip, I actually, I flailed in my chair and started banging the armrests because I was so excited.
I yelped a little, I'm not going to lie.
Honestly, I was just kind of like, my jaw just kind of hung open. I was like, oh, hi, Linda.
and her, Asteria, the name is from my culture. It's a shifting of the weight. And then she says, I've been doing this for a long time. And she winks at the camera. That is how you do a mid-credit scene.
Yes, I agree.
And you have nerds that are like, how is this going to play into the greater DCEU? It's not. Shut the hell up.
Right.
Now, if Asteria pulls up in Wonder Woman 3, I ain't gonna say shit.
Oh god, no. I'm not gonna say shit.
But I don't see it happening.
Wonder Woman has had 2 major live action actors. And, Batman and Superman, they've had dozens.
The TV show that didn't happen.
I don't, because that pilot was horrific.
You're right.
It was never released. I don't care if Pedro Pascal is in it. Actually, good for him. He went from the shitty pilot to the movie.
Yeah.
I don't care if Elizabeth Hurley in all of her glorious attractiveness was going to be Veronica Cale. The pilot was shitty.
Right.
The costume was shitty.
Right.
Adrienne Palicki, however you say her last name, she can be Mockingbird.
Yeah.
She can go off and be Mockingbird. I do not count an unreleased pilot as a live action appearance.
Anyway.
I'll say 2.5. But she's had 2 meaningful live action actors.
Yeah.
Versus, Batman, who's had at least half a dozen, Superman, who's probably had more than that. I mean, Batman and Superman were getting film serials as early as the 1940s.
Wasn't there a third? Wasn't there another, a blonde Wonder Woman chick?
The original pilot for the Wonder Woman TV show was a blonde woman in a star-spangled, a legit 70s jumpsuit.
Okay, so totally 3.5.
Yeah. It's, if you want to count Palicki and that one, 3, but I'm tacking meaningful onto it.
Fair enough.
You know, this movie is Gal Gadot's 4th go around as the character,
Yes,
and
yes.
Linda Carter did multiple seasons as the character. The other 2, honestly, you have to fucking Google.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I believe the pilot with the blonde gal was either a TV. I don't know if that was released or not, but
it was.
It would be like calling Nick Cage a legitimate Superman actor.
Hey man, he was Superman in Teen Titans Go to the movies, so I don't care. But anyway,
I'm talking about that thankfully failed Tim Burton movie. It would be like calling Nicolas Cage a Superman actor.
I know. That was funny.
It's nitpicking, but in the larger scheme of things, Linda Carter and Gal Gadot are the only ones with any meaningful impact.
Yeah.
And to see them both, you know, just kind of exist in that same movie, it was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of, you know, call for Linda Carter to be in the first one, and that would have been a bit much. In this one, it fit. They set it up. It made sense contextually. There are people who hated it, and those people can go suck a dick.
Yes. So, well, after that amazing rant from Mary, we are going to go ahead and wrap up this show. Don't forget, folks, that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, Amazon Prime Music, and Audible, and all those other great places. I purposely ended there because I love the way she said "suck a dick." I love that. But no. We will be back next week for our 50th episode, and it is going to be an enjoyable episode.
It's gonna be a one-woman show.
God damn it, I was waiting for Mary to do that. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! But anyway, don't forget, folks, you can follow us on Twitter at PTP_podcast. Look out for the Twitter this week, where we will be dropping the thumbnail for our 50th episode, so get ready for that. We had an amazing artist commission for our thumbnail for the 50th episode. I'm very proud of it. And we will be doing a lot more content in 2021, so get ready for that. All of January and February will be DC Future State coverage with a little bit of other stuff mixed in. We will be having more guest stars, more fun stuff going on, so get ready for that. Travis, what is your closing statement for episode 49 of Panel to Panel?
Oh, man. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to watch this movie again, but not with the same lens I had this time around, because, like I said, it wasn't the best. It definitely wasn't the worst. The internet definitely lied to me on that one. I'm really kind of ashamed that it got this much, like, anger. I don't understand.
Because Man of Steel's the worst.
Definitely check it out. I mean, it's worth watching. It's worth watching, especially if you like Wonder Woman, you like the shit that she does, and you want to, like, get in touch with a real Wonder Woman and not, you know, what Jeff Johns has done to her. Watch this movie.
Yes. Mary, what is your closing statement for issue 49 of Panel to Panel?
2 things. 1, this is why we shouldn't have Wonder Woman episodes, because I don't stop.
We should, because I love hearing you rant, because that's like part of the show is Mary ranting.
But I mean, specifically about Wonder Woman, I could probably do a series of collegiate lectures.
Let's fucking do it anyway.
And 2, the movie is good. It is not great. I think we need to kind of reestablish that things can be good. The internet has kind of shaped the belief either it is the best thing in the world or it's shitty and terrible and should not exist.
Yes.
All that exists on the internet are the polar opposites. Things can be good. Things can be all right. Things can be eh. Wonder Woman definitely falls into that good category.
Yes. My closing statement, as always, support your local comic book shop. I had another thought. Also, screw you, Titans. If Linda Carter can catch a pole, so can Donna. We will be back next week taking shots every time there is a corny line in Batman and Robin for our amazing drunken commentary that we will have for our 50th episode of Panel to Panel. We will catch you folks next time. Peace out.